morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, welcome to Takeoff 2025. So it's an honor to stand before you today for my very first Takeoff event as Chief Executive Officer of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. Throughout my career, I've learned that airports reflect the regions they serve. And when I looked at Orlando, I saw a place defined by innovation, a place that exudes optimism, a place steeped in opportunity. I saw a region that doesn't just welcome the world, it inspires it. That's what drew me here, and that's what excites me every single day. The chance to help build the airport of the future right here in the heart of Florida. Building the airport of the future is more than an aspiration. It's part of who we are. It's the essence of our work and the spirit that guides every decision we make. It means being smarter, more sustainable, and more connected. It means creating a place where technology and hospitality work hand in hand to serve people better. It's about moving from function to experience, from infrastructure to inspiration. We already have a strong foundation. In 2024, more than 57 million passengers traveled through Orlando International Airport, making us the busiest airport in Florida and keeping us amongst the top 10 busiest airports in the United States. Together, Orlando International Airport and Orlando Executive Airport deliver an annual economic impact of $41 billion. This is a number that reminds us just how essential aviation is to Central Florida's economy and as an angel investor. Please help me welcome Marc Randolph.
I was flying from San Diego, California to Dallas, Texas, and I was going for a meeting with the Blockbuster. And that meeting had a huge effect on my life as an entrepreneur, as well as the trajectory of this little company that I was running at the time called Netflix. Now, you've got to realize that 25 years ago, in 2000, Netflix was a very different company. We were young, we were 2.5 years old. We were small. We had maybe less than 100 employees, and we were on track that year to do $5 million in revenue. But unfortunately, we were also on track that year to have accumulated losses of $50 million. And that is not what we mean by a repeatable, scalable business model. So, we decided to do the thing that prudent entrepreneurs do in that circumstance. We decided to seek strategic alternatives, which is code, of course, for we gotta sell the sucker and sell it fast. I mean, most famous for 3 words he wrote. And in his memoirs, he simply wrote this: nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything. He was talking about Hollywood, how it's impossible to tell how long he's going to do until after it's done it. You can have a A-list star, you can have the most bankable director, a $300 million budget, and end up with a complete flop at the end. How could that be? It's because nobody knows anything. It's true in Hollywood, but it's true any place that we're trying things that haven't been done before. I mentioned earlier that I was part of starting 7 companies. Well, there was 3 IPOs in that group, 2 unicorns, but if you had asked me in advance which would be which, I never could have told you, and neither could anyone else, because truly, nobody knows anything. And the reason I'm hammering you that nobody knows anything today is because it is the key to understanding innovation. Because if nobody knows anything, you only have one thing to do, which is you've got to take that risk and do something. You've got to build something, or make something, or test something. Try something, sell something. You're going to learn more in 1 day of doing it than you are in 6 months of studying the problem or thinking about it or forming a task force. business plans, which I think is the single biggest waste of time in all the business world. And we all know why. It's because no business plan ever survives that collision with a real customer. And what real entrepreneurs do, what real innovators do, is figure out ways to collide their ideas with real people as quickly and easily as possible. But it's got to start with an idea. And contrary to popular belief, ideas do not spring out of thin air in some mythical eureka moment. You have to look for them. Like the idea for Netflix did not come from some moment of anguish over a late fee on a movie. We were looking for that idea for a long time, and we found it while we were on Google. And this story goes back quite a long time, and its genesis is the way that once the company started, which is I was fired. And before you feel sorry for me, it's not, kicked out of the office where you have all your stuff in a box and you're walking across the parking lot. No, it's just, I was Silicon Valley handcuffs fired because one of the companies which I had started was being acquired. And they didn't need me, but they needed me to stick around. So I had 6 months where they were going to pay me, and my options were going to vest. And I had an office and fast internet connection. And I said, I'm going to start my next company. Now the company that bought me, they were also moving people out, and one of them was a guy named Reed Hastings. He was the founder and CEO of that company, and he was going to go change the world of education. But he wanted to see if he could keep a hand in the startup game. And it turned out that Reed and I lived in the same town, and we've been carpooling to work together for 6 months. And so we go, okay, let's go. I'll start running the company. You'll be the angel investor. You'll be the chairman of the board. All we need now is the idea. And we had a process. Every morning, Reed would swing by my house and pick me up. And before we even left the driveway, I'd be ready. I go, okay, Reed, got it for you. Personalized shampoo. People are going to cut off their hair. They're going to mail it to us. We're going to have a team of ace hair scientists formulate a custom blend just for them, and they'll subscribe. And Reed wouldn't say anything. He'd be staring out the window and he hadn't even heard me. But I knew that behind that impassive face, the wheels were spinning in these calculated risks and rewards and threats and opportunities. And it might take 5 minutes, maybe 10. And he'd turn and go, that will never work. And he'd lay into me with all the reasons he was sure that idea was so stupid. But I'd come right back to him and we'd argue all the way to work, and if need be, we'd argue all the way home. And we did that for days. I did pitch him personalized shampoo. I pitched him personalized sporting goods. I pitched him custom dog food. And then one day I pitched him an even crazier idea. Okay, Reed, video rental by mail. People are going to come to our website, we're going to pick out a movie, and we're going to mail it to them. And they're going to keep it for a week, and then they're going to mail it back. And this was in 1996. And if you remember back then, I can tell some of you were around then, that video was one of those VHS cassettes. It was big, and heavy, fragile, and that idea out the window landed in the pile with the shampoo and dog food. Until we had our big break. I was winding up for the next pitch the next morning, and we'd stop and wait. Remember that idea about the video in my mail? I just read on this new technology called a DVD. A piece of plastic holds a movie. And we talked about that and go, this might change some things. And then we did the thing that true innovators do, is we did not go to the office and do the business plan. We did not begin working on our pitch deck. We turned the car around mid-commute and tried to align that idea with reality. We went out to town, looked to buy a music CD, the DVD part, we couldn't find one, settled for buying a used music CD. And a few doors down, bought a little pink gift envelope, we put a green card in, put the CD in the envelope, addressed it to Reed's house, bought a stamp, and mailed it. And the very next morning, when Reed came to pick me up, he He didn't even say anything. He just held up this little pink unbroken CD in it that had gotten to his house in less than 24 hours with a price of a postage stamp. And that might be the moment where we said, wow, this just might work. We wrote a check for $2 million. I hired a dozen people. We spent 6 months putting together this rudimentary e-commerce website, and on April 14, 1998, we launched that little company, now known as Netflix. Now, back then, it wasn't quite the business model you see today. There was no streaming. If you wanted a movie, we mailed it to you in a little red network. And there wasn't a lot of business model innovation. There was due dates and there was late fees. And so when we finally launched, April 14, 1998, that idea everyone told me would never work, well, damn it, they were right. It didn't work. It was a terrible idea. And then it began a year-and-a-half saga trying to figure out what would be the model that ultimately get people to do that would cost us less to provide it than everyone would pay. And we tried everything. And it's not like I had a shortage of ideas. I had lots of ideas. My problem was I was a perfectionist. Because I needed to get out of the shower, dry off, and do something about it that makes the difference. Now, I have sat where you're sitting more times than you can probably imagine. So I know how it is when you get to come to an event like this. To start, it takes you away from your day job for a few hours. You get a moment to think. Hopefully you might hear something from the stage or from your peers that stimulates from throughout you. And then it happens. You have this idea. But then I also know what happens when you get back to the office. And then there's a long list of emails you got to return. Your Slack channels overflowing, and you've got texts and calls. And the crisis of the day, that idea you had, poof, it's gone. So I would encourage you to try something a little different. The next time you have that great idea, whether it's here, whether it's back at the office, whether it's waking up in the morning, when you have that idea, I want you to get out of the shower and dry off and do something about it. I want you to figure out a way to try something, or test something, or make something, or build something, or sell something. I want you to start that process of colliding your idea with reality and begin figuring out for yourself, is it a good idea or a bad idea? And if you do, wake up with that amazing idea and you come running in the kitchen and tell your partner, or you come running to the office and tell your board or tell your team, and they all tell you, that will never work. You are welcome to call me, because as I explained, I love every idea out here. So thank you for listening to me for half an hour. Go out and do something powerful. I'm just going to stand here. Think nice and powerful.
Let's have another one. Mark, I just wanted to pivot on the car that you mentioned. So, what are some of the signals that you look for, to indicate that there's a fundamental shift coming? And how can we train ourselves to see around that car?
Yeah, as you pick up, seeing around the corner is such an important skill. I'm going to be a little of a negative here. You can't see around corners. As we all know, that's the whole definition of a corner. You can't see around it. You can't know what's there. And what sinks us is that thing I described earlier, which is, I'm going to try and think it. I'm going to come up with an idea which I know is around the corner. And in my experience, almost every single big successful company you know didn't start out that way. They started out with something different. I mean, there is this myth of the epiphany. And it's great, it's a great wakes up in the morning and goes, that's it. That someone can't get a cab on New Year's Eve and boom, there's Uber, can't make the rent or the mattress down, and there's Airbnb. But no, they start, they go around the corner, see something different, and they change. And that's the key to what we're on. I'm not going to be so trite and say you can't do it. There's things you do. I mean, for example, what Netflix does is spends a lot of time paying attention to what young people are doing. We're looking at what are the habits of young people? What are they doing? How are they watching TV? How are they using their phones? What other forms of entertainment are there? And they're not necessarily going to say that's it, but it does give them some distant early warning about what might be coming. But I'm going to tell you the single most important thing you can do when it comes to looking around corners is not about knowing what the future is. I have no idea what the future is, but what you have to do is put yourself in a position that you can react to whatever the future throws at you. And that's such a simple thing to say, it's a fundamentally different thing. And this feeling of innovation and change and experimentation and testing is so prevalent. And so one of the things I certainly involved with is listen. They have some great ideas and set up a system that allows you to make things, build things, test things, and try things. And I think great things about it. Again, a long, wonderful lesson.
Take initiative.